I didn't turn off my phone. Um, so that's one thing that I tell my children and my grandchildren. I send a family message every day that has now grown to 30 some people as my kids have added other people to our message. And our message every day is something positive. And it always ends with be kind to yourself, smile, be kind to somebody else, tell someone you love them, and just breathe. And that is to put something positive in their lives, because I know from the moment they get up, from the moment they close their eyes, they're going to be hailed with negativity that's going on in our country right now. So be kind to yourself and limit yourself to those exposures, and especially your family. Our mind, our body, and our soul. That's one of the things on my list. Engage in self care. Make efforts to eat well, exercise, and get enough sleep. I know many of my friends who are working from home found this a tough one because they go into the refrigerator all the time. They've had to think about, wow, this is not a healthy snack. I need to pick up some vegetables. Yet others have said, you know what, I'm not going through that drive through anymore. And I've learned the art of cooking all over again. It's funny, our family have started a kind of like a menu tip. They're eating things like cauliflower wings now, and they're sharing those. The teenagers are sharing their recipes. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. We need to learn to breathe. Just step back and say at the end of the day, gosh, what did I do good for myself today? And learn to breathe through this. The next item on my list, my checklist, is creativity to control what you can. And many of us didn't even know we had so many creative ideas until the pandemic hit and we were focused to have virtual social hours. We had drive-through birthday parties, meetings with Zoom, FaceTime, order and pick up meals, virtual learning of classroom times, front porch church, and the list goes on and on. I mean, if you just take a moment and think, what have I done different? What have I done that's creative? And I think this has been an opportunity for us to change up that norm and make memories that we will have for a lifetime. We did a virtual birthday party for our 6-year-old, and we put him in the car and we decorated the car, and we made cupcakes and took them to every one of our family members' porches. And we had the card and they had a little gift pack for them, and we knocked on their door and we honked the horn, and they blew horns outside their, they stood out on the porches and yelled, and they had a gift, and we picked the gift up and we went back to the house. And then the older kids did the Zoom, which I wasn't familiar with then, and we had all the family members Zoom in on his birthday party. What a memory. He was so excited. He was a star. I'm a star on TV. So many of us not even realizing that this has been a good thing, that it's brought us together in a different way and has allowed us. My own children did a drive-by birthday party for me early in the pandemic, and oh my gosh, I thought it was a funeral coming through, and it was actually my birthday party. And they had oh my gosh, they had boats. They were pulling boats and all kinds of things, and it was just. And then they stopped in the middle of the road and they sang my favorite song. I will never forget that part. And I've got it. Not only that, I taped it, and so I've got it for a lifetime. So we've learned to breathe in a different way, and we didn't even realize we had this creativity within ourselves. And I think if we step back a year from now or 2 years from now, we're going to have some great memories from this. The next item on my check off list for myself is avoid dwelling on things you can't control. It won't change the situation. It will only make you miserable. You got to learn to breathe. At work, we went through a process where we've outsourced our entire revenue cycle. And that is dear to my heart. I've been at the hospital for 30 years. 25 of those years was managing that team. And to watch that team to be outsourced in that process of, I couldn't control that situation. And once I realized we couldn't control it and we had to make lemonade out of these lemons, many lives were turned around in a very positive way. So we had to learn to breathe. Our stability was changing. So regardless of what the situation is, you just got to learn to breathe. The next thing is think positive. Um, Control what you can. Focus on things that you can control, and establish new routines that make sense and give you stability. Learn to breathe. One of the things here at work, as I talked about, was the outsourcing. We've had to learn to breathe. We've had to learn to make new routines and to change some things up. And it's going to be okay. We'll learn to breathe. At home, oh my gosh, my life in a year and a half, in 2 years, completely changed from having a husband to care for to having a brother who was ill to care for, and then to have that world change, and then to have my family, my work family change, and then the pandemic. Man, you talk about things were out of my control. I'm swirling. You have to stop. You have to take control, and you have to learn to breathe, and then to start putting things, that new plan together that makes sense. So once again, my theme is you got to learn to breathe. True agility. Wow, have we seen some true agility through this whole process of the pandemic? You got to develop new skills. You have to have agility. And I applaud my audience today. The list of how this team has proven agility is one of your strongest strengths, and it truly should be applauded. You've adapted teach from home. You went through the process of getting healthy meals to our clients, not only the clients, the kids, I call them, but their family. You checked on the well-being of those clients. You went from home to home. You made calls. Um, awesome. The stories and the reports just touch my heart as I read them as a board president. Not only that, you checked in on each other. And that's so important. Checking in on how we're taking care of those that we're supposed to take care of is one thing, but checking in on each other is I think it's the highest priority, to make sure that we're all okay. We did daily leadership meetings that was virtual, and every story I hear about those has been amazing. That you felt everything was under control. That you guys had a plan, and every day you checked in on that plan. The way you created the marketing, which I have to say I didn't get in on that. I tried to buy those art and clay, take them home, and they were all sold out. But it was amazing how we just got creative. And the list goes on. This team learned to breathe. We just did a virtual graduation, and it was everything I could do not to cry. It was so touching to be able to hear the teachers talk, and their hearts were just broken that their kids weren't in front of them. But the emotion of being able to see those kids move on was tremendous. You certainly have learned to breathe as a team, and it's amazing. The next thing on my list that I work from or I reflecting on is take action over things that you can and you do control. Don't forget that you do have control of many things, and we just talked about many of those. And when you can do nothing else about a situation, you can still actively face your emotions, even the most negative and fearful ones. You have to learn to breathe. In reference to this one, you have to face the emotions. You have to allow the emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to reach out to one another. It's okay to have fear. But realizing that we have to face those, and once we face those and we learn to breathe through them, we have to grieve through this pandemic. We had to grieve the way we taught children. We had to grieve the way we were able to go to grandma's house every Sunday. to grieve that we couldn't sit beside each other at church. We haven't even had church. But I have to say, I kind of like laying around in my pajamas, watching church a little bit. It's getting a little old now, but I kind of liked it there for a while. But we have to learn to face the fears, to face our emotions, allow the emotions to rise up, to bubble out, and to learn to breathe through them. And this is, I think, one of the things that was the hardest for me, to learn that it was okay to have fear, to love out loud, to just have all those emotions and face them. And I learned to breathe. So this allows us to go to some open participation from the audience. These are some things that I did to get through the times of change and uncertainty, and we're moving into some new times and changes with all of the violence and trying to come together as a country. So I want to hear how some of you have learned to cope, because the best way to learn is to have open discussion, to share. So does anyone want to share any thoughts?
If you feel more comfortable putting it in the chat box, I can share that out as well.
I'm not going to turn my camera on because I look like a mess, but something that my friends and I did was schedule weekly or bi-weekly Zoom meetings that felt a little bit more normal, and it was expected that we were going to check in with each other, and it wasn't just that kind of off the cuff, oh, how are you doing? Like, well, I'm kind of busy and I don't have time to say that I'm really struggling with this because I'm also working and keeping the house running and all of that. So, you know, we set aside that time to have those difficult and often awesome discussions of what are you doing to make it through this.
Very good. I have some friends in Florida. Those of you know my story, that I've been flying back from Florida since January quite a bit. And they've been doing these social hours. They felt it was very, very important for them to connect socially, and especially those who had kids, to laugh and to share their emotions too, but not so much in depth. It was really more about social. And so those who drank they would start it with toasting each other, and then talk about the challenges of that week, but then just socialize. And they did it by Zoom. And then when they started to open up, they went to down there. They had some parks that opened as long as you didn't sit at the tables. You brought like your own table, your own chairs, and they would bring their chairs, and they started meeting once a week or once every 2 weeks around this area, and they spaced themselves out, and then they had their social hour. And I thought, wow, that was very creative. It was really neat to watch him. And then one of my vendors from Kentucky, he just hosted a social hour last week, after hours social hours, where we from hospitals from all over the country that's worked with him got to just share, you know, our stories and spend some time together. So that was great. And he's going to do another one here soon. So I look forward to it. Anyone else?
I have found one of the things that have helped us, you know, with a couple of us working from home and just having is the use of space in our environment and making it work for us, making those changes so that everybody can, you know, using it to our advantage. And I think sometimes we don't look at space as a commodity, but in my home, I definitely do. And rearranging the space, making some little changes sometimes may, you know, have big effects. So I really didn't think this working from home was going to work at all for me, but because we've we were creative in the way we used our space, and really with no expense being, no monetary expense. We've been able to make it work. And so, I think that's a challenge that this has brought about, is using our environment and making those changes in our environment that can affect, us emotionally as well.
It's interesting. I sit on a board for Ohio Hospital Associates, and there's a lot of discussion about the space and how they've adapted because most of those business offices moved home. Now, as they're looking at opening up and bringing back, their expectation is 60% of those that moved off will stay off site now, that they're seeing such positive work establishments, things that happened through this, that they are looking at keeping at least 60, allowing 60% to stay off site now. So that was unexpected, and it allowed everyone to maintain and keep their jobs. So that was obviously that was very positive, but the productivity also went up. And the productivity, they didn't expect the productivity to climb as much as it did. But the productivity, of course, then you miss that family, that work family. So they're looking at how to bring that balance and how to bring everyone back together also, at least on a monthly or quarterly basis, so they don't lose that family feel within the corporations.
We have some things coming up in the chat box as well that people are sharing.
Oh yeah. So do we want to can everyone see those, or do we need to read them?
Yeah, everybody should be able to see them, but if you guys want to open it. One thing I've had to do in the last week or so with all of the unrest is I've had to unplug from social media a little bit. Just, there's a lot of tragedy happening right now, even within our agency, and it really starts to get to you eventually. And so I've really had to limit how much news and how much social media I can take in, because it just, when you start your day, I'm a scroller in bed before, after the alarm goes off. And man, when you start your day like that before you've even put your feet on the floor, it's a heck of a way to set yourself up.
I agree. That is one of the things that I definitely did and have done. I did the same thing. I start looking the minute I hit what's going on in the world. And now I start my morning with my family message, and it regardless of what happened, I don't know what's happened through the night. I don't start it with any of the negativity that's going on in the world. We celebrate our successes so if someone's had a success, we celebrate that success, a graduation, whatever it is, catching the big fish that, whatever the poundage of the fish was. We try to celebrate something that somebody's done, and then we bring a positive message into that conversation. And it is the best thing I think we do for our family right now. Has been one of that. But I agree, we have to remove yourself from all that negativity is pretty important right now, I think, or limiting it, not removing it, but limiting it.
Sharon, I'd like to say that I know that we went through some things together with the chaos of the different difficulties at the board over the past 18 months. And I think that your leadership and all the stuff you just talked about today comes through in everything you do. I think it gave a lot of us that have been there with you in those situations some confidence and some abilities to be able to respond to our agencies as well as we have. So I thank you for all that you've done for us.
Oh, thank you, Kyle. I've learned more from your team than you'll ever know. Yeah, but definitely a very strong family team that respects each other and holds each other up to a certain level of expectation, and then supports yourselves. You support each other through that. So yeah, I'm blessed to be part of this team. Trust me.
I'm Charity. I'm going to keep my camera off too. But I have just been kind of like counting during the COVID and the current COVID situation, just kind of counting my blessings in that, you know, I still have a job and I have healthcare if it need be. And I have an agency that I work for that has done everything that they can within their power to support us through this. So I've been looking at that. And then of course with the current crisis that we're going through, and I've been trying, instead of focusing on the negative, I've been trying to amplify those voices that are feeling oppressed or have, you know, the scare and worry that they have in life. And so I've tried to find those voices and encouraging in the sharing of them being heard, and having serious, good, open conversations with friends that are struggling through some of their awakening that they're experiencing. So in a way, it's kind of drawn relationships closer, and I'm glad for that.
Great. And do we have any more chats coming through, or?
It looks like we have just a couple more, but it seems like we're a quiet group today.
Yeah.
Well, Sharon, I for one would like to thank you for your time and for sharing your story with us today.
Well, thank you for that.
Leadership and
Thank you. It's definitely a privilege and a blessing to be part of the Fairfield County Board of Development, and the team is awesome. It's a heart that I have and have had for years. So it's my heart. So I thank you for allowing me to do this. I apologize for some of the typos and stuff that was in the handout, and have a good day. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, and learn to breathe. That makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Sharon?
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.